take a detective to figure out what went wrong in that opening.
No, it doesn't. Like,
How was that for a segue?
I mean, that's always good.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things, totally off subject, one of the things I like about doing the reviews in this old school manner, especially versus the way I used to do them when I was driving, is that now that we do them podcasts, I don't have to worry about if the camera's lined up. If, like, we're in frame or...
There were several where the camera just kept falling down.
Yeah.
Or, like, if the time of day, so the
sun, I always had to, like, drive away from the sun, and, that was so doing it this way just, it takes a lot of that pressure off.
So, we're going to be discussing a British detective mystery story thing.
Yeah, taking a little bit of a segue, we've done a lot of the big releases for a couple of weeks, talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer and Transformers and Ninja Turtles.
Ninja teenagers.
Yeah, so we are kind of going back to our mission statement and talking about kind of a quieter movie, one I don't even know if it got a theatrical release.
I don't even remember seeing trailers for it, except for, like, you watch a lot of, like, YouTube trailers.
Yeah, so this is one of those ones that I found just doing a random search when there's nothing coming out, or, again, we've got kids, we got jobs, so we're trying to, we can't always go to the movies, so we got to see what's available at the house. So I do a stroll through the YouTube movie section every so often, and this is one of the ones that popped up.
But you actually bought the DVD.
I did, because I saw it at
right.
I saw it and was like, okay, I'm gonna grab this, just, and because it was only like $15 or something like that, so if it's bad, who cares, I can get rid of it and not worry about it, but
anyway, so detective movies. Now, you love an old school detective movie.
I do, and I feel like we're living in, like, the renaissance of that. Like, I love especially the old detective series, because back in the day, if you go on a history lesson with us, to the golden age of the movies, the 40s and the 50s and whatnot, they had a ton of these series that had 6, 7, 8 movies in them. And I know we think franchises and long-running series are kind of a new thing.
But no.
Yeah,
Torchy Blaine is one of your...
That's exactly who I was just about to talk about. Torchy Blaine. Of course, you got the bigger names like Charlie Chan and the Thin Man.
Poirot.
What was that?
That was Monsieur Poirot.
Poirot, yeah. Miss Marple had a long-running series. I love those, and my dad's a big fan of them.
He still watches them. Like, that's his jam.
Oh, he loves the Thin Man. If the Thin Man series is on, he is gonna watch it. Drives my mom crazy. But he will watch the Thin Man. That's one of his comfort films, I think. He loves those movies so much. But there are a lot of these, like I say, these smaller films. Boston Blackie.
Oh, that sounds racist.
It is not, in fact. That's his name because he's from Boston and he had black hair.
Okay.
Well, okay, that's a thing that used to happen a lot. Like, if you ever watch Leave It to Beaver, one of his friends is called Whitey.
Oh.
Because he's blonde.
Okay.
Like, that's...
Probably also white.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I mean, come on. But not everything, is skewed that way, but,
I mean, there was predominantly only white people on TV.
I mean, that is fair. That is fair.
So it was a little skewed that way. But anyways, not to mention, you're really into radio serials.
Oh, I love radio mysteries and radio detectives. Candy Matson, Nero Wolfe. Boston Blackie had one. There was also a film series by a character called the Falcon, which is interesting, and I cannot remember who starred in it, but I remember the original guy who played the Falcon played it for a certain amount, and then he tagged out, and his actual brother...
Oh, that's cool.
Like, took over the lead, but he wasn't playing the same character, he was playing the main character's brother. So, like... but the Falcon had a long run.
You've written plays based on that concept of this old school serial. So, if you were to recommend a detective movie to start somebody off with, to show them, showcase the genre.
Oh, that's a tough question. That's a tough question. I think if you're going back a ways, I think you do got to kind of start with The Thin Man.
Okay.
And that whole series, just because William Powell and Myrna Loy are just one of the best screen couples of all time.
Now, more modern times, we've discussed this. The Daniel Craig series.
The Knives Out series.
Yes, the Knives Out series is that. I mean, that's pretty classic detective.
Yeah, that
detective
is.
Novel.
And we have talked about that. That one's kind of a neat amalgamation of Agatha Christie mysteries. They got a little bit of Columbo in there. Mm-hmm. You know, later this year or in a few months, this is one we're definitely going to see. Kenneth Branagh is back as Poirot.
That's right.
Yeah, for his third outing. Like, yeah, we really are living in the
renaissance of the detective.
Yeah, detective movie series, which I love. And these things usually are fairly easy to film, pretty quick. You know, usually a small group of people in one location.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you can get them. At least that's the way they used to be back in the day. You know, that's why they made so many of them. You got a lot of the cheaper actors. You filmed them over a 2-week period sometimes.
Right.
You know, and you released them as the second feature with one of the big pictures. So if it was fairly easy to make its money back.
So here's a question for you. Now, we've recently, we've been going on this mission of watching things that we haven't seen before, binge watching shows while the strike is happening. And we recently binged the first 2 seasons of Only Murders in the Building.
Matter of fact, that's what we did yesterday when we watched this movie. We watched the first season of Only Murders, then we watched this movie, then we watched the second season.
I think that you can make an argument that Only Murders is basically an old school serial kind of detective novel.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've got it's not the police. The police make an appearance, but they're not really.
Yeah.
It's not really about the police. It's about people trying to solve, a crime on their own terms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's very, very kind of classic Hollywood.
Yeah. Which is maybe why it's got such a good following.
Yeah, and so while we're on that, let's just talk about that. So since we have binged the first 2 seasons of Only Murders in the Building, what's your thought on that series?
Okay, so a couple of years ago, and I'm old school SNL. I love SNL, and so I'm a Martin Short, Steve Martin. Yep, Martin Short, Steve Martin fan. I've watched the old Steve Martin stand-ups, and even the bad Martin Short movies.
Or Martin Short movies.
Anyway.
What are some Martin Short movies aside from Three Amigos?
I want to say it was called Clifford.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
He plays a little kid.
Yeah.
He was also Jack Frost in the Santa Claus
Oh
movies.
My God! Yes. Oh God. Those things are
anyways,
awful.
But a couple years ago they did like a Christmas special, and it was meh. It was like eh. So I was like, I don't know if this is gonna come across I don't know if this is gonna be kind of bleh too. But I thought it was really well done, really kind of sweet and sincere and endearing, but over the top and funny. I thought it was really well done. What about you?
I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I have a deep respect for Steve Martin.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just one of the most talented actors, writers, comedians, kind of his whole generation, and his longevity is proof of that. Martin Short, I've never been a huge fan of, but I thought he was very good in this.
I think this character is just right up his alley.
Yeah.
Eccentric theater director. but also kind of
narcissistic.
Yeah.
And big ups. I always love it when this happens. Big ups to Selena Gomez.
Oh yeah.
For I'm always very concerned for the well-being of the Disney kids and the Nickelodeon kids.
Well, see, there's the thing I told you. She's got her start on Barney.
Yeah.
So she started out on Barney before she went to any of the other stuff. So
because you're never sure how many of them are going to be able to move past the cute kid, attractive teenager with pop kind of phase.
Yeah.
They all kind of have that moment where they're trying to be pushed as the next big teen idol, and a lot of them just can't make that reach.
I think she does really well.
Oh, she does. Like, she is definitely, with this role, I think she kind of solidifies herself kind of up there, with Zac Efron, of someone who has
made that jump.
It's kind of broken out of what they were pigeonholed into originally, and have really established herself. She's very good in this, and all of them, it's very funny.
I thought you were gonna have a heart attack.
There are a couple lines I've laughed incredibly hard at, but I also like that it takes the time to be very sincere, and all the characters get like very touching monologues. And
do you feel like the mystery holds up?
I do feel sometimes, and I find this is true in a lot of series, British ones as well, where they're trying to stretch one mystery over a whole season, 10 episodes. I do feel at times that they are kind of stretching for content.
But you know what redeems that is the fans.
Yes. So, that they're aware of that, and they kind of call themselves out on it.
The fan stand-in is almost their Greek chorus.
Yes,
This
exactly.
group of fans that follow them around, and they call them out like, oh, a whole episode about a bird, So,
but I do feel like that it is stretched a little thin sometimes, but I do feel like the mystery holds up, and you're interested in where it's going, and
I usually can call. I've called a couple of things out pretty early on, but it's pretty far in before I'm able to catch on to what's happening.
I just want it known. I called the first season.
You did,
and the only reason I'm praising myself for that is because I never.
Yeah.
Like my parents love mysteries. Like they watch all the British mystery shows and all of that, and they kind of have this unspoken competition between who can solve the murder first. My mom always tells the story that she was upstairs and my dad was downstairs watching some mystery, and my mom came down the stairs, saw the screen from it, and said, "Oh, that's the guy who did it."
Yeah.
And then that turned out to be the guy who did it, and pissed my dad off. But I am so bad at guessing the murderer. At a certain point, I just stopped, and I just watch the shows now, and I don't try to solve the mystery, because I'm always wrong, and so that's the only reason I'm really calling out, "Ha-ha, I guessed it this time," because I actually knew who it was, and I was very, very proud of myself.
What's funny is it always, I'll be like, "Oh, this is what's happening," or "I bet they're gonna do this now," and you'll be like, "Oh, yeah, I bet you're right." I'm like, yeah, okay. But yeah,
I don't know. What do you want me to do in that? No, you're wrong.
No, you just always sound so surprised, like you never would have come up with it on your own.
I never. You're the Holmes. I'm the Watson. All right. In situations like these, you make the guesses.
Oh, and I just because.
I follow around behind you, going, "Oh my goodness, Holmes, how do you do it?"
Well, at least I'm not addicted to opium.
That's true. Not that I know of.
I think that you would know. I think by now you would have a pretty good idea. So,
you are definitely the Holmes of this relationship.
So anyways, So yeah, Only Murders, very fantastic. We're gonna, I don't know, we haven't decided if we're gonna.
I think we need to wait until
all of the season is out.
Yeah, well, also consider that we're getting the girls back this week, so we're not going to get control of the TV.
No, we won't.
So
we won't have control of the TV for the next 7 days.
Yeah, so till wrestling day. Anyway, but yeah, so Only Murders is a good one. Well, we're just kind of wrapping up here before getting into the review proper. Any other detective shows that you're like the detective guru?
A lot of times the stuff that I'm watching is more like
procedural,
Law and Order, procedural, not necessarily detective. But one that we've talked about quite a bit, Angel, would be a detective series,
at least for the first 2 seasons.
Yeah. So the first couple of seasons of Angel are very detective serial kind of. Or probably more procedural than serial, really. But as far as movies go, I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Clue is always a fun romp, But yeah, what about you?
I always, if you're asking me like who should people go to as a go-to detective, I always point towards Columbo.
Oh, you do love
always
Columbo.
Peter Falk as Columbo is one of the all-time great, and I would say the greatest television detective. Just absolutely wonderful. And if you've never seen Columbo, you owe it to yourself. It's on Peacock. Go check it out. It's again, if you're not familiar with the format, it's different from every other mystery out there because you actually follow it from the murderer's point of view.
Right.
Like the murderer is kind of the main character in every episode, and so you know exactly who did it, and the mystery is how Columbo's going to figure it out. How he's going to solve it.
I would also say another one of the shows we've been watching, The Equalizer, when she's not caught up in the CIA stuff. Their regular episodes are very detective-y.
Yes, yeah.
So, yeah.
In terms of movies, there is one that this one we're about to talk about reminds me of from a couple years back. They tried to reinvigorate the Nancy Drew series as a series of movies, and they did a film adaptation of Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase, and it was really, really good.
Is that with Emma Roberts?
No, that was not with Emma Roberts.
That was the one after that.
This was with Sophie. Oh, I cannot remember her last name. She was in It, and oh my, little red-haired young lady, very talented actor. But no, it was a very, because unlike the Emma Roberts version, this was not one that was kind of making fun of the Nancy Drew fandom or the idiosyncrasies, how perfect she is.
Yeah.
This is one that actually made Nancy kind of flawed and updated it to modern times, and it was very charming. It was just a very cute, fun little movie, and I was very disappointed that it got no play. It got no. I went and saw it. It was in the theater, but it was in one of the little tucked away theaters in like the main Metroplex, like the small one. Like half the seats were destroyed. Well,
and then COVID happened, and so
I don't think COVID happened, because I think that happened a year later. Because this Nancy Drew was in like 2018, I think.
Right, but if there was going to be a sequel, then it probably would.
But I don't think they were ever going to do it, because I don't think it ever, since they didn't promote it, nobody ever heard of it. So that's why I'll take this time to get up on a soapbox and say, go seek that one out. It's a great family mystery.
Interesting. See, I was always I didn't watch a lot of detective shows. It was books for me. Like the Hardy Boys a little bit, but predominantly Encyclopedia Brown.
Oh, I loved Encyclopedia Brown.
I wish they could figure out a way to turn that into a movie.
They actually made a series of it way back in the 80s.
Really?
It was on HBO.
Oh, well, no wonder I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think anybody saw it. I remember I caught an episode of it, and it's just, I don't know. I think they did the best they could, but they couldn't quite capture that.
Well, part of the joy of Encyclopedia Brown is that you're choosing your own ending.
Yeah.
You know, like you're trying to solve the mysteries.
Yeah, and then I remember they had it happen, and then he'd go, nope, that's not the way it worked, and you had to flip to the back of the book to see how he solved the mystery.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of them. The only one I remember is like somebody who had robbed a store or something, and they were accusing this guy of doing it, and some kid was climbing on the roof or on the hood of a car, and the way Encyclopedia Brown solved was like, well, if he had robbed the store and come here, the top of the engine would still be hot, and the baby who climbed onto the hood would have burned his feet.
Oh.
That's all I remember of Encyclopedia Brown.
Well, that's true though.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty smart.
That was the thing, because it taught you about those things. So yeah, Encyclopedia. I'm in the middle of a series right now. They say it's young adult. I don't know. The Jane Austen murder mysteries.
Oh yeah.
Where
written by a local author.
Yeah, Tessera Price. Who they're basically kind of, calling them fan fiction doesn't feel right, but it's taking the characters and the plots of Jane Austen novels and turning them into murder mysteries, and they're very well written. I really enjoy them, so that's another one if you're looking for a good read or a good audiobook. If you like audiobooks, the young lady who does the reading of them has just the perfect British accent, so it's like you feel like you're listening to a Jane Austen story.
Oh, well, nice.
So
anyway, so when we come back, we will be discussing it feels as though it should be a BBC movie.
It does, yeah, it really does.
We'll be discussing An Invitation to Murder.
To murder. You have to say it like that. Murder. It's an invitation to murder. Okay, we are back, and we offer you, gentle listener, an invitation to a murder. Yes, we say it like that, murder.
Before we get started, though, you wanted to give an honorable mention to someone we forgot.
Oh, yeah, a couple of things we forgot in talking about detective shows and movies. Not traditional detective films, but I think the Scream series.
Right.
Actually, 'cause part of its claim to fame is not just the killings, but the question of who is the killer each time.
Right, who done it.
Yeah, so it's not quite in the same vein, but it's in there. And you wanted to talk about the show that we were watching until recently.
Oh yeah, So Help Me Todd. So Help Me Todd is literally about an investigative, like an private investigator.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there are two more for that.
Okay.
List. And I'm sure there's more we're forgetting, but we'll get to those later.
All right, so directly into the trench, dear partner.
So what we have here is, and we were looking. So this is, as far as we know, this is not based on a book series.
No.
Or anything. This seems to be a completely original
piece of work.
Yeah.
Which I don't say that like it's a piece of work.
Yeah, but it's a completely original concept. But taking a lot of cues from the classic British mysteries, a bunch of people seemingly with no connection, all
to a mansion.
Yeah, all in some mansion or country home or some, large. It's interesting thing with these British mysteries. The location they're always drawn to is closed off but still large.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not. So you have both the sense of claustrophobia,
but being overwhelmed.
Yeah. So it's a fascinating thing in their mysteries. So this time, our main character and our protagonist and our kind of de facto detective is one Miranda Green,
played by Misha Barton.
From, you said the
OC is what she's most commonly known for.
Yeah.
And
whom we did not know was British originally. We thought she was
American.
And we were having a moment of like, why were there no British actresses?
Right.
But anyway, we all out. But anywho, who is a florist by trade, but has
she loves Agatha Christie novels to the point that she's also reading books on criminology.
Yes. So she gets the invitation to a weekend at some lord's fancy private island, and we talked about this at lunch, and I think we need to touch base on this. But I love in all of these mysteries that you're British and you get a letter from some lord saying, come to my house over the weekend. You have no knowledge of this person. You've never met them. And as far as you know, there's no connection. And you're just like, sounds good. Off we go.
I don't see anything wrong with that. If someone invites me to their English country house, I'm going. Like, you can stay home if you want, but I'm going. I'll take some pepper spray. I'll brush up on my self-defense skills, but yeah.
No, I will go with you, but I'm just going to be jittery and on edge the whole time because I'm just waiting for that murder.
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen. Like, the anonymous invitation to a rich guy's house is the British equivalent of the creepy guy in the van offering you candy.
Yeah.
And they all do it. They're like, okay, so sounds good.
Look, I will go. Like I said, I'll be watching out, but I'm also gonna let a butler serve me meals and go explore the rose gardens. Okay?
Because if you're gonna die, you're going out in British luxury.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Heck yeah.
I think that's fair. Go out on your terms. I think that's fair. Because that is one of the things, and like they even when she gets on the train and she's in there with the rest of our cast, our suspects, whatever you want to call them, you know, again, kind of a ragtag group of misfits and, you know, again, people with seemingly no connection. They're all just like, yeah, we got this invitation and we decided to come. It's like, really? No other?
One from America, one from China, one from Italy.
One from Spain. No, yeah, she was from Italy, yeah.
No, you're right. Spain.
Yeah, she's from, yeah, okay.
You're right. You were right. I was wrong.
But they just came from over, like, all right, sounds good to me.
Yeah. Like, because they know what they're doing.
Do they?
Excuse me. Yes.
Do they indeed?
When you get an invitation to an English country house, you go. That's just it. That's just it.
That's just manners, I guess. Because you're just way more forgiving, and because I'd be like, who are you? Why me? You know,
Look, I'm always gonna go. If I get a random invitation to something, I'm gonna go with the assumption that either someone wants to kill me or someone wants to give me something huge, like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
But that was random.
Once again, random is more psychopathic than targeted.
I mean,
okay?
I guess that's true.
So
I don't know, because to me, it's like the randomness is like, I just want to kill somebody.
Right.
But the invitation is like, I have it out for you personally.
yeah, but I can talk my way out of that.
Can you?
Yes.
So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, sorry. So of course our group come to the island and
ferry across the two, and they're told that the lord of the manor has been grounded due to weather.
Yeah, and he won't be able to join them, and it's
to go ahead with the weekend as planned.
Yeah, so of course they're there, and of course eventually there is a murder, and
yes.
It is up to Miranda Green, just again kind of because she's the de facto detective, to figure out what's what and who's who and who's lying and why they're there, what the connection is, and all of that good British mystery stuff.
Yes, of course, two of the people enter into a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
There's the quiet Chinese woman who is very mysterious.
There's the grouchy American. Who's
Yes.
just griping the whole time, just as the British assume Americans do, because we do.
plus a very jumpy maid.
Yeah.
And two
butlers
servants
who are just, you know, the kind, like I say, we're talking about, would you go, we'd get up there, I'd see these two guys be like, nope.
Yeah.
Turn around, back into the car.
So I know James Urbaniak plays one of the butlers.
Yeah.
Who, like, there's twists with his character too, of course, twists and turns down the way. And I was glad to see him. He's one of those guys that pops up when he pops up, I'm like, oh, good for him.
Yeah.
He's kind of done a little bit of everything.
And I think that is true of the entire cast.
Yeah,
like,
I would say so, yeah.
This is a cast of journeymen, journeywomen, actors, you know, one episode wonders, voiceover actors.
Right.
You know, in other words, people that you've probably seen or heard in...
They've had, like, yeah, so, like, of course, Misha Barton was in the OC as one of the main characters for a few years. But, like, the guy, Seamus Deaver plays one of the guests. And he was on Castle as one of the side characters.
Yeah.
And other than that, has done a bunch of one-off type of things. Then, of course, you have James Urbaniak. You've got...
who I know the best from the Venture Brothers.
Right, he does a lot of voiceover work.
Which I love. I love the Venture Brothers, and I love him as Dr. Venture.
And Chris Browning as the Grumpy American has done a lot of it. So it's a lot of people who have paid their dues.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things I really enjoyed about this movie. And I've mentioned this before with some of these smaller films. I feel like this film is kind of like the little sister to Kenneth Branagh's bigger, louder Perot movies, where he gets an ensemble cast and it's all fairly big names and, you know, just kind of loaded. And this is kind of the opposite of that, where it's like these are all small character actors, and that's not a bad thing, because one of the things I love is you can just feel it when you're watching it, that they are all just kind of loving having this movie and these characters to themselves.
Right.
You know, they're not holding up the performance of one big actor. They're not there to be...
No, it's very ensemble-y.
Yeah. You know, they're not... It feels very much like a community theater show, and not in a bad way.
Like, it's not... I mean, even with Misha Barton playing the main role, it's still very... It feels like an ensemble effort.
Yeah, very much so. And they really... Again, you just know that these actors are just kind of loving the opportunity to stretch.
They're relishing it.
Yeah, especially, like, I know Chris Browning has some pretty strong monologues.
Yeah, he does.
In there, and they're really well done. I think one thing to say before we move on is that if you're a loyal listener, one of our 4 loyal listeners, thank you, you'll know that we don't really have a problem spoiling things on this podcast, especially with larger shows or movies where everybody's talking about them, everybody's seen them, so we don't really have a problem. But with a movie like this, which is smaller and doesn't quite have as much fanfare, we're trying very hard not to spoil, because we want you to go
watch it.
Yeah, go watch it yourself. This thing, films like this need an audience, and so that's why we're kind of tiptoeing around. Whereas usually we'd be like, yeah, this guy did it.
So speaking of tiptoeing around, how do you feel the mystery of this held up?
I think it was decent.
I think so too. I think it reached a bit.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Oh, sorry, it was a little hiccup burp there. Sorry, guys. I think it stretched a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There was some fun little, like, almost kind of steampunky type of technology going on.
Yeah, they were stretching it a little bit with how much technology they had. It was hard to place when this actually took place. What was this, the 50s or?
It would have been before that, because oh gosh, she had just gotten a new Agatha Christie novel. Remember?
Yeah.
So you could pinpoint the time based on that. Judging by their clothes, I would say the 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
So
but I think that the mystery itself was a little formulaic, but here's the thing, and I've said this multiple times: formulaic doesn't equal bad.
No.
You know, everything follows a formula. It's what you do with it and how you make it your own, and do you have nice characters to inhabit it. You know, the formula is a framework, and everything else that you add is what's important. So yes, I do feel the mystery was a little formulaic, and they were pushing the boundaries a little bit, but that didn't bother me so much because I was enjoying everything else.
Now, with the way that she solves the murder and like bringing everyone into the office and whatnot, did that feel like it went according to the milieu of the movie?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because this is a very Agatha Christie love letter, and that's what they do. You know, you bring everybody, round up the usual suspects, and now I shall reveal the murderer.
Yes.
What did you think? Let's ask this question, because this is kind of one thing we got the feeling of, and you did a little research on this, is it felt like this was very much trying to be the setup for an ongoing film series.
I fully support that.
Yeah,
like,
I do
would
too.
Definitely continue to watch these films.
Yeah.
It looked to be, like, as far as I could tell, it looked as though they're gearing up for production of one that takes place in the Egyptian embassy.
Okay.
So that could be interesting.
So, but as we said, so this looks like they're trying to gear up for a whole series of Miranda Green
right.
mysteries. So I think we have to ask the question: what did you think of Miranda Green as a lead character, as our main detective?
I kind of went in expecting a lot of the same Misha Barton-ness that you've seen in other things. So I wasn't really expecting a lot from her. Sorry to say, but I don't know. I felt like she was believable in that part. I think she is a bit monotone in places, but I think that could possibly work for that character.
Okay.
I think I liked her as Miranda Green. How about you?
I think she did a decent job. I guess it's just more, what do you think of Miranda Green as a character? As this florist turned wannabe detective turned...
I think it's kind of far-fetched to think that as a florist who solves a mystery that the police officer is going to give you the number to his guy at Scotland Yard so you can become a police officer.
Yeah.
But I don't know, kind of the idea of her becoming a private investigator kind of works.
I feel like there's, and one of the reasons I wouldn't mind seeing more of this character and future films is I feel like we can flush her out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because right now she is a little generic.
Yes.
You know, just one of those...
No parents,
but who does that Sherlock Holmes thing of, oh, you're newly divorced. How could you possibly know that? Well, the scuffs on your this and that, and your shirt isn't pressed, and you're this, you know. So,
in all reality, if this were a present day character, I would say that they're somewhere on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Because she's like, oh, it's that guy shoplifting. He just, you know, you usually have 47 books. Now you have 43 books. You know, like, I would say she has some
little neurodivergence going on there.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
You know, and in addition to, you know, not having a family, and I think that you would need to get a little bit more background information, or maybe you don't. Maybe that's the charm of Miranda Green, is that you don't get the background information.
Yeah, but I think if they're going to do that, because with detectives, I feel you can go one of two ways. And tell me if you agree with this or not. You have the detective of whom we know so much, the flawed, you know, your Sherlock Holmes high on opium.
Yeah.
kind of thing. Or, like you said, we have the detectives of whom we know very little, but there are quirks and there are little things they do that give them personality.
Right.
You know, I hate to, and I'm sorry to drag up this specter again, but like you take a look at Columbo, we don't know a lot about him.
Like he's got chicks.
You know that he's married, but no, like they never say his first name.
Right.
You know, you never see his wife. You never see his house, I don't think. It's all, like I say, it's the character is made up of the quirks and the way he dresses and all of that make him feel like a fully fleshed out character. So I think if they're going to go on with that and they're not going to go deeper into her as a character, she needs to develop some kind of quirk or little things that kind of make her feel a little bit more like a person.
I could agree, but there is a bit of restraint in her character, and that could, you know, like that could loosen up.
Yeah.
I think right now, like in this first outing, it was more along the lines of, you know, this is something new, this is going out on a limb and trying to almost seem as though she belonged in with these other people.
Yeah, okay, fair. You know what I think she needs? And I'm just kind of thinking about this.
A sidekick.
She needs a sidekick.
Well, I wonder if they'll bring in her shop friend.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because at the very beginning, she's buying a book at the bookstore and chatting up her friend who works there, and I thought for a second that the friend was going to go along with her and be kind of her foil, her Watson.
Yeah.
Kind of. And I think if you had that could help a lot.
Well, you know, the scenes that she had with Chris Browning where they were playing off of each other, she was most charming in those.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, having somebody there, I think, is going to be an important part of that. And maybe it's the dog.
Yeah.
Maybe she's able to, like, turn the dog into that character who she talks to. And that's her quirk.
That would be interesting. That'd be an interesting take, that she brings the dog everywhere and she talks to the dog. And
that'd be kind of fun, I think.
That would be kind of cute. That would, yes. Yeah, but I think you're right. I think what she needs to push forward a little bit is some kind of foil. And the dog or her shop friend, either one would work, right. I think. Or some other character that we don't know. But she needs something. She's a good character, a decent character, and I think Misha Barton does a pretty good job with her, but I do feel she's a little flat right now, and I'd like to just see her. If you're gonna try to carry an entire film series, you need to give us something to come back for.
You have to be cautious, though, of being too flamboyant.
Yeah.
Especially a woman in that time period, I would say. So
I don't think flamboyance is the answer.
No.
I think where the charm in this is the, like you said, the periodness of it. I don't know if that's not a word.
Periodicity.
The periodicity. It sounds like something they'd have to sell things for on a commercial. Do you have periodicity problems?
Yes.
But I don't think going overly flamboyant and twitchy or something like that is the answer.
She's not. What's his name? She's not. What is his name? The Daniel Craig character.
Benoit Blanc. Benoit Blanc. Blanc.
She is not Benoit Blanc.
No.
And she's not Sherlock either. She's not mean about her.
No.
You know, she's somewhere in between, and I don't know. She's gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
I think part of it too is that you gotta take the gender into perspective when you're thinking of it too, because just having a smart woman who reads at that time period would have been eccentric.
Yeah, that's a fair.
So
well, then maybe they need to play up those aspects of her character.
I think they did a bit. I think it got lost, but I think they did. yeah. I think it'll be an interesting series if they do go ahead with it.
Yeah, I would be interested to see more and see where she goes with it and see what they do with it. I think there's a lot you could do. It's a fun concept, and yeah.
Yes. So yeah, let's give the little detective movie that could a chance.
Yeah.
Go see it or rent it on a streaming thingamabobber.
Yeah, I know it's on YouTube, so you can find it there. I'm sure it'll end up on one of the other ones, but it's don't go in expecting like anything big, loud, flashy, mind-blowing.
No, it's just a sweet, like a kind of gentle, quiet mystery.
It's exactly what it is and what we used it for. It's a nice Saturday afternoon, quiet weekend at home little mystery.
For the visuals of the English countryside cabin, or not cabin, cottage mansion type thing in the woods in the fall.
Yeah, that's another thing real quick before we kind of wrap up. And I mentioned this while we were watching it, is I was very impressed with the level of atmosphere and tension that they were able to invoke with not a lot of money. You can tell this is not a high budget production.
Not because it looks like a low budget production.
No, just you can tell.
Right.
You know, but they instead it's that old ECW mentality of downplay the negatives, accentuate the strengths.
Right.
So you had this really beautiful place that they were shooting in, and they shot it really well. They did. You know, made it look cavernous and yet welcoming and yet unsettling.
Right, like there's like something very elegant but also unsettling about the guest rooms all being like
color coded.
Yeah, like what's the word where everything monochromatic and one color, and then having each of the characters that like, oh, does this color match this personality?
Yeah.
And why were they put in this room? And
so they did a lot with what they had, and I think that shows clever directing and kind of down in the gutter kind of directing of just we don't have the money for all this, so we're not going to try. We're going to make the most of what we've got and keep it simple.
I think it worked.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. That's not a knock at it in the slightest. It's a positive that they really did a great job with that.
So yes, a beautiful foresty.
Yes,
location.
It's just kind of beautiful to look at because it's the freaking English countryside. It's gorgeous.
Yes.
So.
Okay. One day I'll get my invitation.
I feel like I'm gonna be the Lou Costello in this.
Hey, I'll even call you Lou Costello if you want me to.
That I'm gonna be.
And I'll be hush, darling. I can't hear the ducks.
Hush, darling. I can't hear the ducks. That's a T-shirt. Buy our merch. Hush, darling. I can't hear the ducks. I love that. Okay, so let's wrap this up. So, what is your final grade for Invitation for a Murder?
I feel like I have been giving out too good of grades, but we've just seen so many good movies this year. I really honestly feel like I'm going to struggle to find that, like, ones to put on the bad list.
I've told you we have to actively watch bad movies.
I'm not watching 40 for Brady.
I don't want to watch it either. I'm just saying.
Whatever. I'm not watching it.
I'm just saying, if we want stuff for the bad list, we have to actively watch movies we know are going to suck. That's just the way it works.
Fine, but 80 for Brady's not on the list.
I do not want to watch 80 for Brady.
Okay.
Why are we yelling?
Anyways, I have to give it a solid A-. Like A- because you're right, they could flesh out Miranda a little bit more.
Hang on, our recording device fell over. I knew it was going to. But it kept recording, so if you heard a weird thing, that was the phone falling down.
I didn't actually punch him.
Ow, my face!
Stop it. They're going to report us. But I think they could flesh out Miranda a little bit more, and I'm interested to see what's happening next. But I think it's a solid little movie.
Okay. I'm always the bad guy in this, but I don't think I'm being too harsh by saying I give this one a solid B-.
Oh, okay.
Because I think B is still good. I think it's a good first step, a good pilot, a good introduction. I don't know what you want to call it, and I'm hoping that if it does get some sequels and we get a whole series out of it, that then they can kind of take the groundwork that they've done and flush it out a little bit. But I think it was enjoyable. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I watched it, and I enjoyed the writing, the actors, the setting. It was, like I said, it was a fun little Saturday afternoon murder mystery.
It was.
So yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was a big yawn. I yawned.
That was. Okay. So, I think that's everything for this episode.
Yep.
So, we thank you for joining us. We're not sure what we're going to be seeing next.
No.
We have a list, and we're very busy at this point in the year, so.
Yes, school has started.
School has started. We're both working, kids. We got a show going on.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that.
Oh, you forgot about that.
Yeah.
But we will find something. We may pick another one of these small ones, or rent something bigger. But we will be back. We will not abandon you.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, my love, for making us a lovely Saturday watching murder mysteries, and then a lovely Sunday talking about murder mysteries. And thank you all for joining us. And as always, drive safe, and we will see you at the movies.